Hello everybody, Brad Johnson here. And in this video, we're going to be looking into a continuation of the other video that I uploaded recently, which is the cause to all suffering. In this video, we're going to be looking more into the process to ending all suffering. Now, what I'm not going to do in this video is debate all about metaphysical terms. I'm not going to debate about metaphysical rhetoric, spiritual rhetoric, yogic rhetoric, or any other particular form of philosophy, because we're not doing philosophy in this video, right? That kind of philosophical talk can be for another time. That is not what we're doing here. We are getting into action. We are going to take care of these particular tendencies that have been with us since the time that we came upon this planet, since the time that we came out of the birth canal and entered this world. And that is exactly when the suffering began, where reactions were again triggering the effects of suffering. So how is the process going to take place here? What exactly is the process, which is what I term this video, the process to ending all suffering? Well, it starts with a notepad and a pen, okay? It could also be a phone or anything of that nature, just something that you're able to document, that you're able to write down. And we're gonna go over the step-by-step process. And I really don't know how to make it any more simpler than how I'm going to make it in this video. So I've written down 3 particular examples on this notepad. I'm gonna go through each one as they represent these common situations that I've worked with clients throughout over the years about certain tendencies that crop up and that people are having so much difficulty in being able to come to terms with. And I'm going to go over the step-by-step process in helping to completely eliminate that state of suffering. Okay? So I want you to really give your undivided attention to this video. Watch it again and again until what I'm sharing here becomes quite clear to you. All right? So let's take a look at a situation here. A family member has given up on me, okay? Now again, this can branch off in many different ways, but in this example, I'm going to say, okay, my father has given up on me. He is absolutely ashamed of me. We had a very big fight, and he has decided that he just wants to completely want nothing to do with me. And after this big fight, I am feeling all of these flurries of emotion. Okay? This can also be replaced by anything else. My partner, my child, my grandchild, my sibling, whatever it may be. Okay? But there's a family situation where there was such an enormous argument, where there was something where maybe someone said, I don't ever want to see you again, right? And again, this particular situation that unfolds, we can't help but feel vulnerable because of how we react to it, right? It is that reaction that we get in regards to that entire event. Not just to the person, but to the entire event itself. A family member has given up on me. So what is my first step when I'm reflecting on this? Number 1 is recognizing what has occurred, okay? And when I say it is recognition, when it is the ability to recognize, you're just being familiar with the entire situation, right? You have no problem describing it. You have no problem being able to feel what took place. So recognition is step number 1 in the process. Number 2 is documentation, okay? So you are documenting exactly what happened. However short, however long you want to write it is up to you. It's about you being able to document what you have been able to recognize. Maybe this is something that happened recently. Maybe this is something that's going back months. Maybe this is something that's going back years. But you're able to meditate on it, you're able to reflect on it, and you're able to recognize that this is something that you're now ready to work with through the process. So step number 1 is recognition. Step number 2 is documentation. Okay? You are documenting the event. And we do this because we don't want to lose any details. Okay? This is why I say if you want to write it short or if you want to write it long, you go ahead. But you want to make sure you're keeping the key details. And what do I mean by keeping the key details? It's the key details relating to the situation that has invoked reaction out of you, right? So we recognize what has caused us to react. We document what has caused us to react, right? So now that we have done that, step number 1, step number 2, all we're doing is we're now just reflecting on that very event that we have recognized, brought out a reaction to us, and that we have documented that very reaction. And now what are we going to do? We are going to work. Okay? So we are working on that very situation. We are working on the reaction. And all that entails is just following the breath. Okay? So to add to work, we are doing breath work. Breath work is step number 3. As I have shared on this channel quite a bit about certain breathing techniques, it doesn't have to be anything too fancy, okay? When you're doing something as simple as heart rate variability, that's really all you need, is I want you just to reflect upon what has taken place, again, what you have been able to recognize, what you have been able to document, and all I want you to do right now is you want to go into a low, idle, subtle state of being. And that is what the breath work is doing for you. You need to get into that subtle state of being. You need to go into the parasympathetic nervous system. You need to wind yourself down. Because we may procrastinate about this quite a bit. And as long as we're procrastinating about it, we're just basically staying between step number 1 and step number 2. We're kind of like at step 1.5. I'm pacing around the room. Oh my God, how could my dad say that to me? How could this have happened? Oh my God, this is horrible. How could I ever have let this happen? And I'm pacing around the room back and forth, back and forth. Maybe I do that for 10 minutes. Maybe I do that for 20 minutes. Maybe I do that for an hour. Maybe I do that for half of the day. Okay? But as long as you're doing that, you're still kind of in between step 1 and step 2. You recognize what's happening, but you haven't really documented this yet. You're just reminiscing. Okay? That reminiscing isn't really a step, but it's something that you are having to feel like you need to do to get some clarity out of that, right? But this is really just in between the recognition and the documentation, okay? That kind of halfway point. But that's why I don't include it as a step, because you can really wear yourself out like that, right? There's times where we do need to reminisce, where we basically need to try to make sense of what's taken place. It's that reminiscing of what has taken place. But I do not count that as a step, okay? Because it's not necessary. But many of us will do that because we're still getting very attached to the entire reaction that has caused us to suffer. And so get it out of your system, but just remind yourself, just write this down, just write this down, write this stuff down. Get my phone, get my notepad, get my tablet, right, whatever, and just document this, write this down. This is what happened between me and my dad. This was the whole situation, okay? When I'm documenting this, I'm writing down the situation, and I'm including how it makes me feel, right? My dad and I were in the front room, and we were arguing, and we were shouting at each other. I didn't want to have anything to do with his business anymore. I didn't want to have anything to do with trying to constantly lend him money. and then he shouted and screamed at me, and this big fight led to us slamming the front door in each other's faces. And it made me feel absolutely horrible. And it made me feel, I think we would basically come to the point where we would try to get the three emotions: anger, sadness, fear, right? It made me feel angry, it made me feel sad, and it made me feel fearful, okay? It's really what it comes down to, is just be aware of those three core emotions, because there's really only three, right? We have all these sub-emotions. I can feel horrible, I can feel scared, I can feel jealous. Really just comes down to the three. It made me feel angry, sad, and fearful. Period. Congratulations, you did step 2. You documented it. Okay? That is very important. We got to make sure we hit these steps, all of them. Okay? Step number 1, recognition. If you need to take some time to reminisce about it, then do it. Step number 2, document what happened. Okay? What happened with the event? How did it make you feel? Now we go to step 3, we do the breath work, right? We start doing heart rate variability. We start doing any particular type of specific breath that's getting us to come into relaxation. Okay, like I said, I'm not going to be too nitpicky about the type of breath that you do, only that that breath works to bring you into calmness and into center, to bring you into the subtle state of being. That's what's important. You got to work with that, right? Whether you're taking several minutes just to breathe, and then you start calming yourself down. Okay? You cannot just go from step 1 to step 2, hop over step 3, and then come into the next corresponding step. Can't do that. If you do that, this process will be impossible to heal your reaction. Step 1, step 2, step 3. Follow all of the steps. Don't omit anything. Okay? Very important. So, step 3, I'm doing the heart rate variability. 1, 2, 3, 4 into the nose. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 out to the nose. In, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Repeat, 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 repeat. And how long do I do that, Brad? Until you are calm. Until you are relaxed. Until you are centered. That is step number 3. Breath work. Okay, and I really emphasize the work in the breath. You keep doing it until you're able just to let all of that go. Come into your center. Stay into the subtle state of being. Once you have been able to achieve that, you will know. You're able to feel like you can relax yourself. You are calm. You're no longer agitated. You're no longer on the fritz. Okay? You're no longer feeling like you're being pulled apart. You no longer feel this egoic tug of war surrounding the reaction of what has happened. You feel calm. I can work with this now. I've settled myself down. I've calmed down. Great. Okay? And you're feeling that. You will feel exactly what it is to be in the center. There will be no clinging to egoic aspects surrounding reaction. Now that we have done the breath work, we're going to soften. And that is step 4. We are going to soften the reaction. So, when I look at that example situation of my dad wanting to give up on me, having this big argument with him, us fighting verbally, slamming the door in each other's face, and me feeling angry, sad, and fearful. And all I'm doing is I'm just being aware of that situation. And all I'm continuing to do is just breathe. And just saying to myself, soften, lighten this up. Soften and lighten this up. Soften and lighten this up. And through the process of softening, not only are you continuing to work with the breath, but you're giving yourself these clarity statements to soften, to lighten yourself up, right? To make this lighter. And also reminding yourself, I cannot change what has happened to me, but I can change my perception of it. I cannot change what has happened to me, but I can change my perception of it. Very powerful. And this is all part of the softening part of the process. You're just softening yourself with the breath. You're softening yourself with these statements of clarity. Soften, let go. I cannot change what has happened to me, but I can change how I perceive it. Okay? I can change the perception of what has happened to me. And I want you just to continue to do that and just soften and lighten up and loosen everything. Be soft, be light, be loose. Right? It's like you're looking at that noose that has just wrapped around the proverbial neck. And all you're doing is you're softening it. You're looking at that gigantic knot that feels like a noose around you, and you're untying the knot. Okay? Because that is exactly what this is. A reaction is a knot. It is a knot that has been very tightly put together in your physical body, in your mental body, in your emotional body. It constricts, it obstructs, it tries to create separation. All you're doing is you're looking at that big knot around this noose, and you're untying the knot. You're softening it, you're lightening it up, you're loosening it so that that knot can get untied. By again, softening yourself with the breath, softening yourself with simple statements of clarity. I'm going to soften myself, I'm going to loosen myself up, I'm going to lighten myself up. I cannot change what has happened to me, but I can change my perception of it. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm softening, softening. And even if I just want to stay with the breath, right, and soften, and as I'm softening, I ask those particular types of questions, which comes into step 5, inquiry. Okay, so we go from softening to inquiry, number 5. And the inquiry is quite simple. Can I let this go? Right? Can I let this go? And if I feel I can't let it go yet, I go a little bit lower. Okay, can I loosen this up a little bit more? Yes. Can I soften this a little bit more? Yes. Okay, so I'm just going to soften more. I'm just going to breathe more. Okay, so we're moving from softening to inquiry. Okay, if I cannot say, no, I can't let this go yet, okay, don't worry about it. We're just going down a tier. Okay. Can I continue to soften this? Can I continue to loosen this up? And that's all you're doing. Just breathe and know that you're loosening this up. Right? You're following the breath. You're doing heart rate variability. Okay? You can even start to do some Om chanting together with the softening process, right? So I feel exactly where that energy inside myself is, and I'm just Om chanting while I'm softening myself up, right? So it's working with the breath, it's giving yourself clarity statements, and it's Om chanting, right? Om. Oh, that feels feels good. I'm feeling softer. Good. Go into inquiry. Can I let this go yet? Don't know if I can let this go yet. Okay, go down a tier. Can I soften this? Can I loosen this up? Yes, I can. Okay. Do another Om. Om. Okay. Go back to the top tier question. Can I let this go? Top tier question is, can I let this go? Okay, that's the top tier. And if we can, fantastic. We're going to go to that next step here in just a moment. Okay? But if we can't get to that top tier, we go into the lower tier. And the lower tier is, can you loosen this? Can you soften it more? Right? So as I give that second tier inquiry to myself, and again, I continue to work with the breath. I continue to work with those clarity statements. I continue to work with the Om. Om. Oh, that feels much better. Can I let this go? Yes, I can. Breakthrough. Breakthrough. That's the next step. Okay? So after you have gone into inquiry, you're now going into the final step, which is breakthrough. And I want you to stay with that for a minute. Okay? All the breakthrough step is, which is kind of the nickname, the real step here is abidance. Okay? You have made a breakthrough, and now you are abiding in that breakthrough. Okay? Yes, I can let that go. Good. Abide there. Abide there. Abide in that breakthrough. And we're not doing any fancy tricks, right? We're not doing my snap of the fingers or anything of that nature. When I say, can I let this go? Yes, I can. Okay, breakthrough. And I'm taking at least 1 minute, 60 seconds, to abide in the breakthrough. Okay, that's all you're doing here. After that 60 seconds where I'm just being completely still and I'm just feeling the breakthrough, now I can look at that notepad regarding this and I can cross it out. And you're done. So, let's go over the steps again. Step number 1 of the process is to recognize. It is recognition, right? You're recognizing this event through a person, place, a thing, okay? That is the event. You are recognizing that this has occurred, okay? It's come into clarity of yourself. You have recognition of it. Okay. Now again, you may still start to reminisce about it. But once you recognize that, do your best to go to step number 2, which is document. Okay? Document your recognition. Okay? Step number 3 is breath work. So we need to calm ourselves down. Heart rate variability breath. And doing it until when? Until you are feeling calm, relaxed, stable, and centered. Once we have gone through the breath work, now we go through the softening. Okay? So we're going through the softening process where we're working with statements of clarity, we're continuing to breathe, and we may bring in that Om chant as well too, as we're going through softening. Step number 5 relates to, from the nature of softening, we go into inquiry. Okay? So step number 5 is all about inquiry. Top tier, can I let this go? If that's too much, bring it down to second tier. Okay? Second tier, can I let this go? Can I soften this more? Can I loosen this? Can I lighten this up? Okay? All it's doing is it's giving you the encouragement. Just keep loosening it. Just keep lightening it up. Just keep softening it, right? And again, keep doing the Om chanting if you need to, all right? Once you do that, you try to get back up to the top tier again. Can I let this go? Yes, I can let it go. Breakthrough, and that is the final step, which is step number 6. Your breakthrough and abiding in your breakthrough. It is abidance, okay? And you're just taking 60 seconds, 1 minute, to just be. To just abide in that breakthrough. That very thing that you have been able to say, yes, I can let it go. Just abide there. Okay? Those are the 6 steps of the process. Okay? Best way I can put it, it is the process to end all suffering. Once you abide there, after that 1 minute, you're going to feel lighter. Especially when you get a good night's sleep that night. You will wake up the next morning and you feel that you are lighter than air, despite that there has been a huge argument, despite the idea that there is something that was shattering, despite the idea that you had a very harsh reaction that you have now brought to rest. After you abide that, you even just look at the whole situation and say, it's okay. I've made peace with what has happened. Even though my dad and I have argued, I will still make peace with the whole situation. I make peace with him. I make peace with the entire situation that's around. So even when the next morning where people are calling, oh yeah, I heard your dad and you had a big fight. Yes, we did. Yes. Everything okay? It's absolutely okay. Well, because he was still pretty mad this morning. He said, I understand. I get it. Remember, as I talked about with non-reaction, it's exactly what you're doing. I understand he's upset. I realize that. It's okay. Are you upset? Not at all. Really? Nope. I've been able to make peace with the whole situation. Wow, didn't know you had it in you. All right. So it's the same as these other 2 examples here. One other example here is the desperation to achieve monetary success. I need money, right? Money is tight. Money is just horrible right now. I'm in such a horrible shape of my financial situation right now. And all I want you to do is I want you to completely let go of the reaction through process. Okay? I want you to do the process. Okay? So when it comes to monetary problems, when it comes to financial problems, they get worse because we keep fueling that worse feeling out of it. How am I feeling in regards to my finances? Right, here's my situation with finances. I'm at work, I'm at minimum wage, right? I feel that strain upon myself. It feels like finances are getting worse. I'm barely making ends meet. How is this making me feel? I'm feeling sad. I'm feeling afraid. And that's really it. Maybe it's sadness and it's fear. Okay, good. So now we go through the 6 steps. The 6 steps of the process. And even if it's regarding financial worry, financial concern, the result is still the same because the process is still the same, which means you're no longer concerned after doing the 6 steps of the process. You're no longer concerned about that event. You've made peace with your struggle pertaining to financial abundance. And now that you have made peace with finances, you can now work with finances where they can now be your tool. And now you can welcome in new opportunities to grow because you didn't feel like you could go anywhere else before, because you were trapped inside the reaction relating to your fear and sadness regarding your financial situation. Believe me when I say that when you have a manifestation and you are fully behind it, you will see miracles happen. Guys, that has happened to me over and over and over and over and over again. And I was one of the last guys to ever believe that miracles could actually be, right? But the reason why we do not go there is because we are completely stranded in the reaction, right? It is that reaction that basically contains you and confines you, and thinking that there is no other way. I have to try and make ends meet. I have to try and get through my minimum wage. Do you see that you have cut yourself off from every other possibility that could take place? Whether it be a change of career, whether it be new opportunities for financial growth, whether it be the new opportunity for you to develop yourself as an entrepreneur, to work for somebody who you really love, whatever it may be. You don't think that those are possibilities because you have completely isolated yourself in reaction. You have painted a horrible picture relating to what a financial climax represents to you, and you have kept yourself inside that bubble. The financial calamity is your whole world. The feeling that you are financially stuck, and I've been there, okay? I basically came from a point where I absolutely hated money, and I was able to let go of all that stuff and rebuild myself and start saying, you know what, money is my tool. I will honor money. I will honor financial abundance, and I will make it work together for me because I'm going to do all of these things that I know are going to help others. And it completely transformed my life around from someone who was basically at the verge of losing his place because he could barely afford rent, could barely pay for food. And then I turned it all around. I had a person come into my life that really showed me a much more greater perspective. And I didn't have the process like you guys have, right? I had to turn it all around through quite a few extra steps, but nonetheless, it was turned around. You guys have the process. And you're now able to take this and run with it and break the shell of that isolated bubble and turn your entire financial situation around, which means you're no longer loyal to something that barely feeds you. You are no longer loyal or feeling confined or trapped with something that has harmed you and is only causing you to be a slave to money. Right? So as we go through the process, we go through those 6 steps. We go through recognition, documentation, okay, into the breath work, into softening, into inquiry, into breakthrough, abidance of the breakthrough. Just those 6 steps, my friends. And when you successfully achieve all 6, you are free. You are liberated from the reaction, right? And like I said, that's where you get a good night's sleep. And it's after that good night's sleep, you really feel the difference. What's another common one, right? So if I cross this one out, which is basically what you guys do after step 6, right? Desperate to achieve monetary success, I cross that out. Again, letting myself know how I feel. Am I angry? Am I sad? Am I fearful? Am I all 3? Am I only 2 out of the 3? What have you? Let me go to the third one here. Government threatens to take away freedoms. So I watch the news, and I watch these politicians. I watch these world leaders. And I see how they're just threatening everything. I just see how they just deny everything. And they want to put all these things onto the people. They want to threaten. And basically, I talk about that whole situation. I watch the news. I see these politicians who are heartless, who just want to screw people over, who want to take their homes away, and basically try to take our money away. And it just makes me feel angry. It also makes me feel sad. And it also makes me feel fearful. Okay? So again, our reaction is what puts us in that bubble, just like the finances, just like the situation with the dad. Puts you in the bubble, isolates you, and feeling that the government completely controls your pocketbook, that the government completely controls every facet of your life. Well, congratulations, you're buying into exactly the distortions and lies that they are trying to convince you that they feel they have over you, right? And it becomes an us versus them situation. What does that turn you into? Turns you into nothing but a victim, right? Turns you into a hurt person into an abused person, and you're just hurt by the government and you're angry at them, but you're also afraid for your own safety. You're also sad and feeling that you're going to lose all your freedoms. And even though that's not actually what's happening, you believe it to the core of your being. And that's why you react to create the effect of suffering, representing the government trying to take away your freedom. So, we go through the 6 steps. Recognition, documentation, breathwork, softening, inquiry, abidance in the breakthrough. Just as you have witnessed in this video. Now I want you to go back to the video again and again and again until the process becomes natural to you. The most important thing about the process is the trust you have in yourself to know that you can do this. Right? If you feel like you have to run to somebody to do this, you don't have the trust in yourself to bail yourself out. And you're stuck. Right? It's not even about running to me and saying, Brad, I need help. I don't mind helping you. But even when I'm helping you, I'm going to take you through the process because I want you to go from the ability of step number 1, recognition, all the way to abidance. Okay? And just guiding you through it. But I want you to feel comfortable in doing this on your own. And I know sometimes that's like asking for a big quantum leap here, because you guys like to have somebody who can guide you through this. And you can just imagine that that's what I'm doing with you right now through this video, through step 1 to step 6. Like I said, I don't mind helping you guys through it, but I want you to achieve your own success. I want you to feel the breakthrough that you have because you have put that reaction to rest, because you have completely cured suffering. And you have cured suffering because you have learned not to react. And through non-reaction, that comes through because we're at peace with the situation. We're at peace with the circumstance. We're at peace with the entire event. That's all it takes, my friends. If you can follow these 6 steps and you are able to clear away these major roadblocks that you have put yourself through, that has been the cause that has therefore led into the effect of your suffering, then you're going to make an incredible transformation. You are going to liberate yourself. And you're going to be able to do this all the time, so much more quicker. From the major things to the minor things. Because there will be people who will come to me and say, oh, Brad, I have like these little things, but then I have these big things. And I said, really, there's no difference. There's no difference in it because it all represents reaction. And reaction doesn't really have a scale, right? Some of you think that government takeover is the biggest thing that you could ever fear. And then the whole idea in that sense is that the inability for me to flush my toilet is probably a very little thing. But it's no more different than you trying to zoom in and zoom out, right? So you got this big Mount Everest of an event that is so up close with you, it's so zoomed into you, but when you start doing the process, you zoom out and you see that itty bitty little teeny weeny mountain from afar. And you realize it's all the same, right? I could zoom into that situation with the toilet. Oh my goodness, what's happening here? I go through the process, I zoom out, itty bitty teeny weeny little toilet. Okay? It is not about scale. Scale is an illusion. And the scale of your problems are an illusion. It's just a reaction. It's a reaction that you have decided to zoom into to make it feel like it is absolutely monumental, when at the same time you can zoom out of it and see it as something as small as a grain of sand. There is no scale to reaction. Reaction is simply reaction. Reaction already represents confinement. Doesn't matter how much you decide to zoom in on it, because at the same time you can zoom out as you go from step 1 to step 6 of the process. Really consider what has been shared in this video today. Really consider watching the partner video of this about the cause to all suffering and how you are able to remedy it. And then come to this video, because this is the action video. This is the process to ending all suffering. And I want you to know that this is what's going to bring you into such a great height, into such a great expansion, into the purity of bliss itself. Because when you start to walk through this world, and as someone who has done this, and someone who lives this way, you are going to see such a larger picture of everything representing life. You can't imagine how free you will feel. Because I have done this. There's nothing really on this planet anymore that causes me to feel attached, that causes me to feel possessed by anything, that makes me want to feel like I'm quivering in my boots, I'm worrying, I'm sad, I'm fearful. There isn't, right? We continue to live on the earth. We continue to live our lives. We continue to live in our homes. We continue to drive our vehicles. We continue to do our work. We continue to make money. Okay, we continue to do our day-to-day affairs. But at the same time, we're not attached to any of it. At the same time, we are not possessed by it. At the same time, we are bringing everything that is truly freeing, liberating, and divine into our daily lives, because that is exactly how I live. And I'm happy to pass this on to you. From a person who never believed in any of this stuff back in 2008, when I was just starting to begin, to hear who I am right now here in the year 2023, at the time of this recording, it has meant the world to me. To know that I can clear away reaction, that I can simply be, and I can see the world so much larger than I ever could, and that it's bringing you much more deeper into the true nature of yourself, that true godhood of yourself, your true sovereignty. That's what this will do for you. I encourage you with all my heart to practice this, to take action, to take what you have learned and put it into fruition, and watch yourself grow and expand and evolve yourself to where all that you see now is the bigger picture. Thank you for watching, and I'll speak to you again in the next video. Om Shanti 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 Namaskar, and may it be well with you. Goodbye for now.